Las Vegas, where many seek glory by the light of a dream. But when darkness falls, not everybody prevails.
It's gonna be the 3-0 in the quarterfinal. It's gonna be liquid.
Bloody fourth game. Team Solo Mid take the quarterfinal match against Cloud9.
And they say bye to liquid. Cooney kicking the damage out. There's only one man left alive.
And though heroes come and go, legends remain as a moment in history.
TSM are heading to the finals.
A sign of an era.
CLG gets to defend that championship.
Now the time has come once more to see who will shine in their own light. Let there be legends. It's all in the cards.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 North American LCS Spring Championship Finals. We're coming to you live from the Mandalay Bay Event Center off the Las Vegas Strip, and the arena is filled to the brim with fans looking to see their favorite teams face off for championship glory. Now, this matchup has been 13 weeks in the making, with 10 LCS teams leaving everything on the rift for their chance at this moment. Only 2 teams remain, and it's a matchup to bring the house down, with Counterlogic Gaming facing off against TSM. Earlier in the day, as you saw, the crowd gathered outside the venue. TSM, though, arriving a short time ago, looking confident as they enter the venue. They're going up against defending champion CLG. Darshan leading the team to the stage. Stone cold face there. Cool, calm, collected. You can tell they are in it to win it here. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm James Dash Patterson, and with me to help break down the day's events is William Scarley. And right next to him, just back from Cirque du Soleil, where he was researching his next dance routine, is Aiden Zyrene Moon. And finally, resident high roller, Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. Gentlemen, we have done it. We are at the end of the spring split. How does it feel to be in this venue with this energy, this crowd, and watching the TSM CLG finals?
It's incredible. I mean, if you don't feel chills watching the videos, watching the hype trailers, hearing the roar of the crowd, then you're not a league fan.
Yeah, and you can tell they're ready to bring it as a crowd. The teams are ready to bring it and give us some sweet league action. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket one more time to see the road that led our 2 teams here. First off, Counterlogic Gaming earned a bye off their second place finish in the regular season and moved on to the finals match after a hard-fought victory over Liquid last weekend. TSM took the hardest road to the finals, coming in with a 6th place seed, defeating Cloud9 in the quarterfinals and then advancing after a 3-0 sweep against first seed Immortals. Now, with their win yesterday, Immortals secured a 3rd place finish and will be moving on to the next split with 50 championship points in the bank. 4th place Liquid earned 30, with Cloud9 and Energy Esports walking away with 10 each. Now, our finalists, Counterlogic Gaming and TSM, have secured themselves at least 70 points moving into the summer split, but the winner of today's series will walk away with the title and a total of 90 championship points, and we're all very well aware of how important those championship points are to making it towards the World Finals. As our teams gear up for their finals match, let's head over to Riv, though, who's going to award our spring split MVP.
Every week, the players give their all in an attempt to prove they are the best League of Legends competitors in the world. In North America, one individual stood above the rest as the most valuable player of the spring split. With the highest gold per minute and assist leader for his role, the Spectre of the Jungle, Immortals Reignover.
Reignover says hello, picks him off again. First blood solo kill in the enemy jungle.
Triple knockup from Reignover into the barrel crit.
And now here comes Reignover. He was fighting an entire team towards the top side of that one.
Oh!
Oh my God, he got right in front of him. Fantastic, Rainover.
Immortals, Rainover. Rainover, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on the award, and personally, an amazing personal play in this split. I have a few questions for you, but before I let you go off and watch the games. Coming into this split, coming into League of Legends, you were a jungler. From Korea to EU, now to North America. What drove you to the jungle? Why is Rainover a jungler?
When I first started League of Legends, I started as a mid lane because I just thought that this role has the biggest impact. And then I was like pretty fine on mid lane, and then I kind of get challenged with mid lane. And then when I was playing solo queue, like I kind of feel like our jungler is like doing nothing. So I just like started to play jungle like a little bit, like 20% of the game, and then like every time I play jungle, I always like wins the game and carries the game. So I just decided to be a jungler, and then when I try to be a pro gamer, I just want to be a jungler because I think this have more impactful on the game. You know, this role have best impact on the game. You know.
Well, Rainover, the stats show that you are incredibly impactful. So looking at that, what separates you from the rest of the players? We see the stats, we see the kills, tank junglers, carry junglers. What separates you overall?
I think the confidence myself, like being confident myself, is like the most difference from other junglers. I think because I kind of like always remind me that I'm better than this guy. I can out jungle this guy. Like I just keep trying to remind myself, you know. And then like if I have so much confidence in game, I can like make better decision, and then I make less mistake and I also can play very aggressive. So I think this kind of thing, like confident thing, is like most big difference from other junglers, I think.
And that confidence leads into my final question for you. We've heard it many, many times from players like Skara, players you currently play with, ex-pros, ex-junglers. It is difficult to play with you in the game. You just break the mentality of your opponents. What does that confidence feel like? How does it feel to be that strong in the jungle?
Well, it's really cool, and then like, well, of course it feels really good, you know? Like when opponent players are like, when I feel the players getting like afraid of me, it's like really cool. I like it, but like it also means that people are expecting a lot from me. So I also think that I have to like try hard more, and then like I just have to try to keep up the expectation, you know. So I think I should just have to try hard.
Well, the work so far has paid off. I'm going to give you a final chance to say anything to the fans before we head off.
I'm really honored to take like this Spring Split award, and then I really appreciate for my teammates and then our coaching staffs. They did really good works for me, and I'll try to keep up this Spring Split MVP until next split by doing hard work.
Awesome. Rainover, thank you so much once again. Congratulations, your most valuable player of the Spring Split, Immortals Rainover. All right, everyone, right now as the players set up on stage, we are going to go ahead and throw it back to Dash to set things up.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A much-deserved award there for Rainover as a jungler. And Scar, I'm going to turn to you. I mean, we heard him talk about confidence as a jungler, and it's very evident when you watch him play how much confidence he has. But giving you a moment to speak about, the accolades and the reasons why he deserves such an award.
Well, obviously, he's the best jungler in his split. Like, there's no question. I see him. His routes are great. His pressure is amazing. Like, it's like he knows where to be at the right time. But the biggest thing I got away from that was, he was humble, and the most important thing he said over and over again was hard work. Like for him, this isn't the end of the road for him to getting the Spring Split award. Like he wants more. And I think that kind of hunger is what's going to drive him to become a great player.
Yeah, he's incredibly hardworking. I actually get to talk to the Immortals coaching staff a lot, and they've actually had to have him work less. When they started all going to the gym together, he kept going, and it's just like, no, Rainover, you need rest days. You need to actually stop and allow yourself to recover. And he also has been having like a great work ethic his entire career, and that's why he's done so well in so many different regions right now.
Yeah, in a competitive environment, I imagine working too much is a good problem to have. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we've approached this finals matchup, we've been asking for your favorite moments from the 2016 season so far. We've taken a look back at some great plays and standout scenarios, but now we want your best. So send your tweets to @LOL Esports and let us know the most epic moment from the 2016 NALCS Spring Split. At the end of the show, we'll read some of your responses and highlight your favorite memories. Now, though, without further ado, let's hand it off to let's hand off the broadcast to community legend Black Enola to introduce our championship finalists.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Mandalay Bay in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and to the hordes of League fans all over the world, this battle is about to explode. Please join me in welcoming your 2016 North American League Championship Series finalists. Competing as the number 6 seed after a semifinal sweep over Immortals, the only team to have participated in every World Championship and to play in every North American Finals. It's 3-time North American champions, TSM!
Who could have thought that TSM would 3-0 as the 6th seed coming into this against Immortals? People were saying they were going to be better than you expected, but this good?
Once again, TSM finds these late game fights to start a surge.
Big burst on his stick say. He's gonna get hit with the Q. He's got a ride and it still gets him. That will be the game. That will be TSM slaughtering Counter Logic Gaming.
This was a completely different story and year for TSM. This was a 9-9 regular season team, and it still has a chance.
He's almost instantly gonna go down the flash!
In the top lane, and making his NALCS Finals debut, it's Hansa! In the jungle, it's semifinal player of the series, FLICKR. At mid, 2-time North American split MVP, Bjergsen! AD carry, the all-time North American LCS kill leader, Double Lift. Rounding out the bot lane, it's the man that's participated in every EU Finals and is now making his North American Finals debut, Yellowstar! And coaching for TSM, it's Parth. Let's hear it one more time for TSM. Facing off against TSM is the other half of this El Clasico rivalry. They participated in 2 World Championships and are now playing to defend their North American crown. It's the number 2 seed and 2015 Summer Split champions, Counter Logic Gaming.
Make the finals and defend their crown.
It means a lot to Hui, it means a lot to Stixate, but it means a whole hell of a lot to the returning members to get back on that final stage. Counter Logic Gaming takes down Team Liquid.
This the win CLG fans can be very, very happy about.
Can he do it? He's in there. It's a smite fight, 50-50. He steals it, and Counter Logic Gaming is still in it. What
in
a
the top
burner.
lane, it's the 2015 Summer Finals MVP, Darshan! Making his second appearance in the NALCS Finals, Xmithy! At mid, making his NALCS Finals debut, the man who was the second TP, Hui! Playing AD carry, and also making his NALCS Finals debut, Stixay! And playing support carry, it's CLG's longtime playmaker and team captain, Afromoo! And coaching for CLG, it's 6. Ladies and gentlemen, Give it up one more time for Counter Logic Gaming. Once again, please help me in celebrating your combatants for this 2016 Spring Championship, TSM and CLG.
It's not any better than this, ladies and gentlemen. There they are, your finalists for the 2016 Spring Split Championships. I can't even imagine how it feels to be standing on that stage right now with the energy in the building, the crowd shouting down at you as you're getting ready to play for this title.
I mean, CLG looked incredibly focused.
Oh, yeah.
Or zoned out. I couldn't really tell which one it was. But seriously, not fazed by it at all. They look like they might be here to play that game and take their championship once again.
They're looking seriously. You can't get distracted. I mean, this is what the entire year has culminated in. They've been working towards this for so long. You don't want to get distracted. You want to enjoy it, but you can enjoy it after you win.
Right, yeah. For those rookies on CLG who are trying to step up and help defend that title, that's going to be the big task for them. Can they keep their nerves down in this scenario? Can they perform and celebrate once they've walked away with the title? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event, a rematch of the 2015 Summer Finals and another meeting between North America's biggest rivals, Counter Logic Gaming versus TSM. Now, there's a million different lenses that you could look through at this matchup. Let's begin with the road that brought these two teams to the finals, starting with CLG.
Yeah, defending champions. They dropped star player, double lift, and they also dropped their mid laner, Po Belter. But what they wanted to do was develop talent that would help with the team cohesion. So they brought on Huhi, they brought on Stixay, and they didn't bring them on because they were individually the best players. They brought them on because they said, okay, Huhi, you get the starting position. You've proved yourself as a team member. You've been here supporting us, even though you never played a single game during that championship run they had. And they said, this is the team that's going to have the best cohesion and the best unit.
Yeah, and this is a team that's looked good since the very start of the split. They finished second in the season split. They were the only team to beat Immortals, and they had a very hard-fought semifinals. They're coming in, like, just coming over the win against Liquid. They were able to have, you know, a tough match, which I think this is going to be. And TSM on the other side, obviously, is much more of a one-sided affair.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other side of the rift, we have TSM. Now, it's a tough road, but or rather, let's remain talking about CLG for a moment. It's a tough road, but it's not all that shocking that CLG has made it to the finals. On the other side of the rift, TSM, though, creating a super team. This was the big talk of the preseason, and they've had their fair struggles, and it took a while for them to come online.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of CLG's mentality when they rebuilt. They only kept Bjergsen and dropped 4 members, and they went for individual skill. They went for the best players that were on the market. They picked them all up and went for a star-powered team, a super team. And it looked really rough at the start. It looked like they didn't have the team cohesion, and they had overlooked that. But it did fall into place just barely in time, and they got it together for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Scar, talk to me about this star-studded roster. I mean, imagine when you were looking at the preseason roster moves, you probably looked at this team and you said, wow, the ceiling here is massive if they can actually make it.
Actually, I was one of the people who were against them.
You were a dissenter, huh?
For the most part, I was like, well, they're going to get it together maybe like week 5, week 6, maybe a little bit later. And then I don't know how they're doing the playoffs, but I think summer split comes, they're going to be a competitor, you know? And it looked really, really grim going to normal season. I was ready to write them off. And in the playoffs, you know, I don't know what magic they did. I don't know what Reggie did. I don't know what Parth did. But they just have become one of the best teams in NA. Suddenly over a course of 3 weeks.
Yeah, and they've been absolutely crushing in the playoffs. They've won 6 straight games now. They took down the #1 seed. They took down the #3 seed. If they beat CLG, they beat the top 3 seeds from the split to win, which would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, basically, they beat 2 teams that had some questions about their strength in the meta, but I think you overlook that. I think you say TSM, they showed Svenskeren has stepped up. He's able to play an aggressive jungler, and he's able to take it to these opponents. So if they sweep all top 3, I think there's no questions here, and you can't even bring up the fact that some of them look behind in the meta because those were the same teams on a macro sense as well. So you were able to outplay them there.
Well, and it's clear they've got no shortage of support in this arena. So, you know, fan hype is not something they'll be lacking in this series. Let's talk a little bit about Huni's champion picks and overall performance having been a factor in the way that TSM did make it to the finals. And today, Haunter's going to be going up against Darshan. So I want to look at that matchup in the top lane specifically because it's a pretty big change.
Yeah, I think that, when we did see the semifinals, we saw the 80 carries coming out from Mooney, we saw Lucian, we saw Graves, we saw a lot of stuff like that. On the other side, Darshan was playing Echo, and I think it's going to be highly contested in this, and he's shown that he can play the tanks, so it's going to be much more contested picks, and I think pick bands will look a lot different.
I think it's actually going to be a little interesting because Echo was not prioritized at all in the TSM series, but now people are playing Gragas into it. Gragas might jump up because he does have initiation and disengage power, and he's very versatile. And that's why they were going for Maokai in the first place over Echo, is they wanted the point and click engage because they were playing things like Janna and Braum support. So I think that might be a little bit more higher priority here. I think the Gragas will come into play. I don't know if the Echo will be the same type of pick ban, but I do think that CLG highly prioritized that because it's a very offensive top laner that has defensive properties for Darshan.
Well, what are your thoughts on the Echo then, Scar? Because TSM didn't have to worry about it in their previous series. They've got 1 week to retool against a player who would be willing to play it.
I think Echo is a perfect champion for Darshan. He can build a tanky and can dive backline, and he doesn't need any help doing it. So he could set up the fight for his team and be a split push threat as well as a backline threat, building full tank. And so now that the top lane meta is here, he's one of the most offensive top laners because he can essentially do all the diving aspects himself while still applying some sort of CC as well. He's not the main initiator, he's not the main damage source, but he's enough of a jack of all trades to be able to be very aggressively used, and I think it's a perfect fit for Darshan's playstyle.
All right, well, we'll be curious to see how that matchup plays out. Of course, Haunter has been a very consistent player for TSM throughout the split. Even in the regular season, a lot of people would have pointed to him as being the top performer for them. He was the only member on the team to get an OP5, and he did it twice throughout the season, so good on him there. Next up, though, we've got to talk about Xmithie and Svenskeren, who weren't necessarily at the top of the jungler class, considering that Dardoch and Reignover had such domination during the regular season, but both of these players stepped up big time in the playoffs.
Oh, I mean, they shut down Dardoch and Reignover respectively, each having great individual performances over them. Xmithie was pulling out aggressive junglers like Kindred and also pulling out Graves, and then we saw Svenskeren do the same. Both of them are heavily in the meta right now. They have adapted their style, and this is going to be an explosive matchup here that I have my eyes on because Svenskeren has shown in the playoffs that he is out for blood. He is a monster, and Xmithie has kind of ditched his farming style. He had the highest CS per minute for junglers, and now he's being way more active and getting Darshan ahead, and that's where they're creating their advantages.
Yeah, and I mean, Xmithie was an absolute rock for CLG all through the regular season. He's been great in playoffs, but Svenskeren, for me, the last 2 weeks has been insane. He has completely run a clinic in the jungle. He's been invading nonstop. He has been dominating the junglers. He's been where he needs to be. He's been outplaying people both mechanically and macro-wise. And if he can bring that kind of level to this series, it's going to be a huge factor for TSM.
We talk about Reignover being MVP, and then Svenskeren just seemed to stuff him there in the semifinals. Scar, coming back to you, because you've said something on my desk before about Xmithie. You said that he is criminally underrated as a jungler. So I want you to defend that point now here on the desk.
All right, CLG bias fully exposed. I think Xmithie's been a top 3 jungler the entire split. I think he's phenomenal. I think the best trait about him is something that gets overlooked. Regardless of the strength of the other jungler in North America, he seems like he can always match the other junglers' play. So I'm not worried at all in the jungle matchup in this series. You know, even though Sven's gotten a lot better, I don't necessarily think that he out-jungled Reignover by that much. So even if he's at Reignover's level or a little bit higher, I still expect Xmithie to be able to play a control-ish style because he has a very unique sense of jungle play where he plays very around the team. He's one of the most team-oriented junglers, and he's still able to be extremely relevant, have a lot of farm while still being able to control areas and apply vision control, unlike almost any other jungler in North America.
Now, understanding that strategies change and develop through best-of-5 series, and of course, we always have lane swaps and funny things that can happen, but where do we expect jungler attention from both of these teams to go primarily? Is there a certain lane that we expect to be contested in 2v2s?
I think it's tough to know because both teams have different play styles. I think that you would expect CLG to be looking to get Darshan ahead, and I would really expect Svenskeren to be looking to get Bjergsen ahead. So does the other jungler try to match that? Do they then have Xmithie counter ganking mid lane, or do they just try to stick to their guns? It'll be interesting to see.
I also think TSM have another option. They can go for the bottom lane. Stixxay had a kind of subpar semifinal against Team Liquid where he looked like he had a lot of pressure on him, and it definitely looked like his rookie was showing. Right? He looked like he had a little bit of nerves there, and that it wasn't 100% from him. And now it's an even bigger crowd. I think this is some place that you can actually leverage that advantage and maybe put Bjergsen on an assassin or a roamer and see what he can do against Huhi, and then have him even just come down and make that bottom lane even worse. So I think that might be the strategy for TSM, is to go for that bot lane.
To me, it feels like 6A doesn't get a lot of resources from his team, at least early, and he's been able to hold his own like with kind of a relatively low econ game. And he picks up a lot of the econ during the mid game when they rotate a lot. He picks up a lot of the CS. I feel like maybe the laning may be in question, but for me, Stixxay, it's all about positioning. Like, how does he position in team fights late game? If he does it well, I don't really have a question of their laning. Like, I feel like CLG's early game is always going to be really, really clean.
Well, and Irene, we saw kind of both sides of that positioning coin in the semifinals. We saw a Caitlyn game where he was positioning quite well and picking up a ton of kills and putting out a lot of damage through team fights. But then in that 5th game there in that series on the Lucian, we saw him dive in, dash in a couple times, and kind of get popped right in the beginning of team fights at the 40-minute mark, which is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, game 5s are always a lot of pressure, so you want to make that play, you want to win the game outright right there and not have any regrets and say, oh, well, if I didn't dive in, or if I did dive in, I would have killed him, and you go and you take that chance. So I don't blame Stixxay for doing that. I think that Stixxay has been okay throughout the season, but he has some of the lowest damage per minute per gold share that he's getting actually for his team. Because if you look at the gold right here, gold per minute between Doublelift and Stixxay, it is very close. They only are different by 6, and then their damage per minute is 100 difference.
Yeah.
So Stixxay actually gets a decent amount of resources from his team, but he's not delivering the damage. But that may just be indicative of the style that CLG play, because they play a lot of split push. They don't actually have those 5-on-5 fights, whereas TSM have always been group up, 5-man, boom, let's work on teamwork and outplay these guys.
All right, well, we've talked a bit about Stixxay, but Azael, real quick, hit on Doublelift, his opponent in that bot lane.
I mean, Doublelift is a standout, right? He's a star. He's been a star for a long time. The guy knows what it takes to win the finals. He did it last year. And we'll see if he's going to be able to repeat this year. You got to look at Aframu as well, though. You know, the dynamic duo broken up, and now his homie's on the other team. So we'll see how that's going to shake out as well.
Yeah, both halves of last year's better bot lane on opposite sides of the matchup this time around. You've heard us talk about the matchup. Now let's hear from Yellowstar, who sat down with Jat to discuss the finals match against CLG.
Hey everyone, Jad here, and I'm going to be sitting down with Yellowstar. Thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations on the finals.
Thank you.
So you're actually the first player to play in all 7 LCS finals, so to speak, the only one. It was going to be Wild Turtle, but you ended up beating him. So what does that mean to you to be in all 7?
Oh, it's really surprising. I didn't really expect to be the only one, the only one standing. It means a lot to me because we put so many hours into practice. We already dedicated to the game, and like reaching every single finals is really meaningful to me. And I hope that we won't stop there. And I'd like to get another title.
Take me back in time a little bit, because when you were brought on at TSM, you were the shot caller. That's what they were bringing you in for. The leader of Fnatic, who took the rookie team to 2 championships in an 18-0 season. But that wasn't the immediate result from TSM. You talk about all the work that you had to put in. What direction was that work moving towards? And are you the sole shot caller of TSM now? What is your role currently in the team?
So I think there is a huge difference between me being in Fnatic and me being in TSM. In Fnatic, I was the main voice, where I could basically choose what team composition we're going to run or how we were going to play. And then basically I was a veteran in Fnatic, and I had a really huge impact on everything. And then I knew that when changing a team, I would be a rookie, let's say. And then I would try to adapt my best, and I wouldn't have such a big impact. And yeah, I tried to adapt and find my place in that team. And at the beginning, it was not super easy. And then now I would say everyone is contributing to the shot call. So I still have the main voice when it comes to the objectives or how we're going to play the map. But then everyone is contributing, and I think it's really helpful, but it takes a lot of time to build this up.
Yeah, and it does definitely seem like you guys have made it work in the playoffs. But at the same time, that is 2 weeks worth of good play versus a season of struggles. Are you confident that you guys have solved the problem, or are you worried that it might fall apart in the finals against CLG?
During the regular split, it was more like we were practicing a lot still, but it was not really structured, where everyone was playing, okay, I think this champion is good, but it didn't really make sense. So now we are practicing efficiently, and it makes sense when we're picking a champion. So I think we will probably have a good shot against CLG, but I know that they're a really strong team and they're like the title holder. So I wouldn't mind taking it away from them.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to win the finals. Final question for you now, moving towards the CLG matchup. What's the biggest thing you guys have to watch out for from CLG?
Definitely their team play. When they have something in mind from the series I've watched and how they play, they always have good strategy, map play, so we'll have to care, and I hope that we'll be prepared.
All right, well, good luck in the finals, Yellowstar, and thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you, Jet.
Every single LCS finals. He's going to be playing for another title tonight. We'll see if he can get it. I want to know if you guys think he can get it. So down the line, it's prediction time. We can't have a finals without predictions. Skara, start us off.
Oh, God. I talked to a lot of pros last night. Every single one told me TSM was going to win this one.
Okay.
And because of that, I have to think that I want CLG to win. So I think CLG 3-2.
Oh, he got us.
I got it. I think their superior team play will go through. And I think that Xmithy especially will be able to control Svenskerin's new powerhouse like threat. And I think that it's possible that they're able to overcome these individual talents with just better teamwork.
All right, 3-2 CLG here. Irene?
I got to go TSM on this one. I think they're going to take away the crown from CLG. I think the bottom lane, double lift over Stixxay. I have to give it to double lift. And in the mid lane as well, I think Bjergsen's been having a great time. And even if Svenskeren, he's been playing fantastically. If Xmithy neutralizes him, you're still going to have the same result.
All right, that means that Azael, you are the tiebreak. What's it going to be, my friend?
I think the safe money's on TSM, but I like Afromu and Darshan to come up big. I think CLG 3-2.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2-1 on the desk in favor of CLG, but what do we know? It's time to send it up to the caster desk to get us into the games.
A lot?
Thank you very much, Dash. To your credit, you guys know a hell of a lot about League of Legends, but I am here to help cast the finals here. I am David Freak Turley. With me is Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensler, and Joshua Jat Leisman. This is going to be so much fun. Best of 5, Counterlogic Gaming versus TSM. Should it really be any other way?
The more things change, the more things stay the same, Freak. Totally different players, but same franchises in here. And all of the reasons that people are calling for TSM to win this were also the reasons that people were saying they were going to be good at the start of the season.
Sure.
And that wasn't the case throughout most of it. So I'm really curious to see if they can show up the way they have in the playoffs towards this finals, or if CLG's teamwork will come out on top.
Yeah, I love this rivalry so much, especially when it comes down to the LCS finals. All the emotions and memories that come flooding back when we see these two teams walk up there. My body almost doesn't even know what to do. First I start jumping, I'm excited, then my eyes start watering like I'm crying or Freak's cutting onions over here or something.
And Kobe, if CLG wins again, are the faithful just continually rewarded for success in the NLCS, or is that train?
Rewards will not be given out until the end of this best of 5. I will let you know. You let us know what the rewards end up being, but it's certainly going to be a trip to the mid-season invitational if you can win that best of 5, joining up with G2 Esports and a plethora of other teams who've already qualified.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in the bans right here so far. Azir was banned against TSM the entire semifinals. Also, Maokai being taken away from Hauntzer is really key when CLG holds first pick. They're almost forcing TSM into an echo ban here.
Yeah, look at the junglers that are up as well. You can't even attack top 3 right now. Both Nidalee,
right.
You know, Graves, everybody is up right now. So, they're going to leave everything up, and TSM wants to get 2 on the backswing.
This is huge. Every single game in the playoffs for these teams, when they've been on red side, they've banned Nidalee. So you would expect a Nidalee first pick, but that's not the way CLG was crafting their pick and ban. They were expecting a Nidalee ban to first pick Echo. Now they're stuck between choices.
I don't know. Since there's so many junglers up, I actually like the first pick Echo. You can take a Kindred. You can be fine as long as Svenskeren doesn't get off to an extremely quick first 3 minutes of the game.
Right.
But that's always the issue with Nidalee though. It's the first 3-4 minutes. All right, well, the early Nidalee looks like the choice, as well as because everything else can be traded back and forth. They're looking right now at the Kalista AD carry in for Double. If both these marksman players, Double and Stixxay as well, are really known for this champion, I think she's been the most popular North American marksman pick overall, and it's going to be that one grabbed early.
6 out of the 7 playoff games for TSM, Doublelift has played Kalista, so he definitely wants to get that lane dominance going and snowball it towards the team fight.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good against Echo too.
It definitely is good against Echo, and not only is it good for Doublelift and does he love this champion, it's right into his style of dominating lane, but it's also great for Yellowstar, because one of the things that Yellowstar has been critiqued for all season long has been these issues where he's getting caught out
But now he's forced to stay with Doublelift, and Doublelift can even save his life.
This pick was huge for CLG. The triumvirate of top lane is Echo, Poppy, and Maokai. Maokai got banned. Echo
Hey, what
got
about
first
Trundle?
picked, and the Poppy. So I said triumvirate. That only means 3 here, Kobe. Poppy picked up here, and I wonder where she's going to go because, of course, we see Echo as a pretty prolific mid laner.
All right, we need to
I think you've got
calm down a little bit because this is actually very crazy. There's so many choices that need to be made here. They don't know where Echo's going. It's probably going to be in the mid lane. But then we also have to wonder about the Trundle being thrown in there as well if TSM ends up going with the tank top laner, because then Trundle support gains huge value. Oh my goodness, they can easily pick Trundle here. Trundle and AD carry, and I think CLG crushes this draft.
Yeah, we had this draft actually a couple days ago. I forget if it was in the European semifinal or
it was
what.
SKT versus KT.
It was that, you're right.
Game 3.
It was SKT versus KT in the second, third place match sort of in Korea. And yeah, SKT got Trundle support with basically these 3 champions otherwise, and it was a really brutal team composition of 3 tanks plus double marksman.
Yes.
Yeah.
CLG have 25 seconds to choose what they want those last 2 champs to be.
The only thing we have to wonder, though, is Aphromoo hasn't played Trundle. It doesn't fit into the style of Stixxay needing to be able to win lane. So they won't, I think, get the optimal team fight value out of this, which would be the Trundle pick, but instead with Caitlyn Moore are going very heavy towards
Morgana has been something that's been very big in North America, and especially Aphromoo has put in a lot of time on this champion. Going to be an extra measure to try and keep Stixxay safe. They've got a lot of protection for the backline, actually, with both Kindred and Morgana here. Caitlyn, you know, she just wants to siege up and set up her traps to keep everybody off her back. Gragas is definitely a wild card, though, as he comes in with the barrel.
Sure.
If they can pull off a good ultimate, that can change everything.
Then it's on Afro to put up a good black shield and Stixxay to stay far enough away to not get wrecked here. Final pick to come through for TSM. And even though Zed and Azir were banned, he's gonna get Corki in the mid lane here for Bjergsen. So double marksman, Nidalee, and 2 tanks for TSM. Meanwhile, it's Stixxay, who had such a great Caitlyn game in the semifinals, getting that champion again.
Something really big here with that last pickup, I think, for TSM. And true to their name, is going to be the strength in the mid lane. Nidalee plus Corki is such a powerful mid-jungle combo here, going against a melee mid laner as well as the Kindred, which does take a little bit extra time there. And Svenskeren should have priority early.
True.
We'll see what kind of leash they give him as well, because sometimes you can boost Nidalee and really just get her off to a very, very quick early game.
Yeah, I'm looking at who he's masteries as well. It looks like he's gone for Thunderlords and a lot of AP in his rune page, so I'd expect an AP Echo out of this as well. So as a melee, it will be a little bit risky later in the game, but it does speak to CLG not trying to do the giant tank wall, but more just using the Echo as an assassin.
And we'll see how well he can get into the backline and how much he can disrupt the rest of these players. The coaches shake hands. We are here into game 1 of the Spring Championship Final. Let us know who is it going to be here in game 1. Tweet at Esports, hashtag CLG win, hashtag TSM win for who it's going to be here in game 1. This best of 5 determines who wins the North American Spring Championship, as well as who joins G2 Esports and the Flash Wolves at the Mid-Season Invitational.
And heavily divided chants in the crowd for both TSM and CLG.
I love it, as usual. All right, definitely gonna have to watch deep wards here. CLG in the regular season almost always went for the deep lane swap wards as they run out of the base.
Yeah, the early phase here between Svenskeren and Smithy, I think, is going to be very important just because of how dominant Svenskeren has been in these playoffs and, you know, was the MVP against Immortals when they were able to 3-0 them in the semifinals. And that all starts with early game wards and beginning jungle paths.
Here it is. They're expecting the CLG early invade that they did so often.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to use Svenskeren as bait and then do an ambush. But CLG changing it up, going defensive spread here as far as the opening this time. And now TSM are at a disadvantage. They're walking blind into CLG wards.
Yeah, exactly. They got spotted by the early trinket ward that TSM themselves didn't see CLG put down. So all of this is in vision. CLG actually metagamed themselves by expecting what the TSM counter was going to be and already preparing for it.
Right, but I still actually like where Stixxay is right now because the AD carry is already in the lane without having to be giving away that intel. So even though TSM has gotten the deep lane swap wards, they still don't know where Stixxay has been. It's actually a fairly rare play to have the AD carry sitting up there as far as how many times you do the late invades and the late swaps.
Yeah.
So he's got a little bit of an intel advantage early on.
You can't get both. You can't set up an ambush to try and counter a CLG invade and get your early wards down first. All right, let's see here. Looks like Stixxay is going to stay up on the top side.
Yep.
And CLG are going to get their lane swap.
So lane swap it's going to be here as the Morgana from Aphromoo slowly makes his way up there. We will not have actually a hard jungle start. And watching the Braum and the Kalista run around the map, it looks like TSM were near the top side. Then after seeing Caitlyn realize they don't want to be part of a 2-on-2, so they will make a late trip down here. But look what Darshan has to do. He gets a full wave, and he's going to delay the turret take.
That's the value of the level 1 play by CLG there. They had the ward, they got the deep ward, and they also camped Stixxay up top, so CLG didn't know. And you're seeing their late response to that right now as Yellowstar nearly makes up for that deficit they were going to be facing, but already Darshan is getting far more farm than you would ever want him getting in this early of a lane swap scenario, which could end up turning into turret trades.
He's already level 2 in a lane swap.
That's
game.
huge.
And that turret's not going to die anytime soon.
I want to see CLG take this early lane swap advantage that they have because they have this poke-heavy, double-ranged duo lane that they were able to shove TSM around the map. I want them to keep this momentum up after the turrets are taken as well. So often, people criticize North America for these the ranged support meta that we have here, which is kind of an oddball. But this, if you get the early advantage on turrets and you get the early turrets going down, you can transition very quickly into taking the mid lane turret as well, because range supports coming over can put a lot of pressure on that mid lane.
And I'm curious to see how both these teams play out their lane swap game, because CLG are only keeping the 2 up there. Huhi will just teleport back to the mid lane, but normally a top laner joins in the turret push, and Darshan, actually a bit late to the party, will slow down the rate of turret take.
He definitely saved his teleport here, and that funnels a little bit more experience and resources into Stixxay than it does into Darshan, because they're not sharing as much as TSM are, because if we look at the experience right now, we have Darshan, who's still at level 2.5, and Haunter's actually pretty much exactly the same as far as experience goes. So despite not getting the wave, because of the amount of experience Haunter shared with Yellowstar and Doublelift, the top laner himself is there, and they're a little bit slow on that turret. They're going to have to shove this in now, actually.
They're probably going to go down within a few seconds of each other.
I think they're going to have to bounce this off the second wave, though.
Yeah, they have to shove this now.
Yeah, they have to shove it. This is not the cleanest of plays by TSM, whereas CLG's does seem a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Well, CLG going to set up that freeze pretty easily. Darshan takes it down with a half-health caster minion. And he's actually auto-attacking minions a little bit more. I want to see if he does push his wave in. It will be Kalista and Braum heading topside, so Darshan would optimally push this. Once he realizes that's happening here, he does not have deep trinkets to see that, though.
He's going to push it anyway,
know what
though.
the choice is.
Well,
and he is pushing.
I think you could infer, because what's happening right now is we know the Caitlyn Morgana matchup is going to be trying to continually dodge the Kalista Braum. So that means you're double shoving the lanes and going for the 4-turret trade or the 3-turret trade as opposed to just 1 turret on the outside. Which means you want to shove as much as possible to delay the other 80 carry from getting it all the way into your turret.
I would think that it would kind of be the other way around, right?
Yeah, Caitlyn Morg wants the 2-on-2. Like, TSM took a bad lane swap to get away.
It's the other way around, yeah.
Yeah, but because, TSM trying to hide Stixxay in the bot lane first, he's pushing this one as fast as he can. The Morgana now joining him up as well, so we will see the bot lane turret beset right now. In terms of total gold, keep in mind these teams are basically equal. TSM swapped away from a really bad 2-on-2, and via the lane swap are afloat right now.
Smithy getting in there with the early counter jungle. People often underestimate Kindred, even though she's a Devour jungler. The early skirmishing is extremely powerful. Especially, it really gives the advantage to whichever jungler finds the other at a camp, because you've expended all of your abilities on that camp.
Missing cooldowns, missing some health, never a good place to be. Fervor, also a nice thing about Kalista is if you ever land a Q on a champion, that's 2 stacks on Fervor right away, so you press your auto is just that much more powerful.
Yeah, and for all the excitement we had about the lane swap, it is equalizing very closely, and then what is also equal, which is a bit unexpected, is the mid lane matchup, considering there's been no jungle pressure. Huhi used his teleport to get back in the lane very early, but he's keeping up as a melee versus Corki extremely well in CS.
There is an important point about keeping up, though, in that Stixxay has actually grown a CS lead over Doublelift. Everyone else is pretty much equal to, like, within ±3, but you've got a 10 minion lead for Stixxay, as CLG have just found a way to get more last hits, either be showing up to the lane sooner. Again, there was 7 CS that Darshan got that Haunter was never a part of, and that's just kind of percolated through the team.
Yeah, as far as the mid lane matchup, Huhi using the teleport to get back to lane. That's how he's keeping up in CS there.
Yeah.
Echo's one of the few melee champions, because of the time winder. You can try and shove very quickly, even against the ranged champion, and use teleport to get back. That will be a big thing later as well. You know, double teleport has been huge recently, and CLG love the mid-game trading objectives. They'll have that extra global to work with.
Yeah.
And Bjergsen will only have the semi-global of package, which is definitely a good tool to answer things with and counter global with, but not quite the same.
Yeah. And it's worth pointing out that second global from CLG, Huhi, is going for an AP Echo build. That early Negatron Cloak speaks to him going Abyssal Scepter first item, right? An ability power focused build, a damage focused build. He's going to have a pretty good time, I think, fighting Bjergsen with that kind of an item build. And I want to see how much you can do with the more assassin-focused build order. It's at this point now the rarity for Echoes to be building AP as opposed to tank. We see it sometimes, but not as often.
When they go mid lane, it's more of a 50-50, but I absolutely agree with you. And the Abyssal Scepter will give him an early game power spike. We have to pay attention to the itemization breakpoints in this one as well. In this lane swap scenario, 6A has gone Cull and very early Boots of Swiftness. So he's just looking to run around quickly, farm, and not be very combat effective until probably his second major item. Whereas we're looking at Doublelift, he's skipped Cull, gone straight to Recurve Bow, and Callista spikes much faster off of just getting the Hurricane.
Right.
So when that happens, Doublelift gets Hurricane, Bjergsen gets Trinity Force, that's exactly when TSM is going to be looking to make an aggressive play.
And exactly when Huhi's going to be squishy, and Abyssal Scepter against a Callista never feels great.
Nidalee with the Rift Herald buff just feels so good.
Oh, God.
I don't think you can have more early game tools in the game right now, but yeah, Svenskeren able to get in there. Quick red buff takeaway and get back to his own side. Bjergsen going to be hard pressed here. This is what I was talking about. The rotation of the North American range supports over to mid lane after they have the early lead on their towers, and they chip down mid lane here.
Absolutely, the Caitlyn Morg trying to get as much done as possible, but Bjergsen does have a blue buff, and Svenskeren is still pretty powerful, so they were unable to get really any work done on that first push. TSM seemed to be ready for it, and the question will be how long CLG stays with that push versus when will Doublelift come back, and it looks like CLG actually has to abandon the push right away since Corki had the blue buff, and Doublelift will actually catch up in CS and punish CLG for making that mid lane attempt.
Feels good and competitive there for Smithy, able to get his first stack on Kindred off of the Krug.
9 minutes in off of, bot side Rift Herald. It's actually worth pointing out, by the way, for people who don't know about the mechanics of Kindred, it's actually not random entirely which jungle camp gives you the mark. It's actually a sort of staggered situation. The first 3 are on Scuttle or Rafters, and it gets progressively deeper into the jungle as you get more stacks. So when people see like, oh, you got Rift Scuttle so early on, it's like, well, he's probably going to.
So it still is random, it's just the number of options.
They're all good options.
That can spawn.
Right, they're always good options. It's not, you don't get Krugs till you got 3 stacks or more, so it's not nearly as difficult in the early game.
Oh, here we go, early gameplay.
Oh, the phase dive actually got interrupted, knocked into the air. The shield's coming up, but he can't hit it in time. First blood comes through for Doublelift. Great Fates call on a Yellow Star.
Yeah, I love the attempt there. After they'd been swapping back and forth and Stixay was having to crash into a big wave, they were able to sneak through the river to make that play possible.
And this is exactly what TSM want. This is all according to their game plan here. They want to jump off to those first item power spikes you were talking about, Jet. That first blood is going to do a lot getting them there.
Yeah, that was before the item power spikes, as you mentioned, so they will be stronger around the return of the next Rift Herald and the next Dragon. That's a very critical kill.
And who got that kill? Doublelift.
Huge.
Money couldn't have gone into a better spot for TSM.
Huge deal for him. Now Longsword picked up as he goes towards the rest of his items, but he is now much more powerful than Stixay and will be for quite some time. TSM can ride this wave of a 1,700 gold lead pretty early on in this one with just a kill and the extra farm they're now getting up. You can see one of the big beneficiaries, Svenskeren, up 700. Yes, some of that's the 100 gold assist, but the rest of that is him simply jungling faster than Smithy with that first round.
Nidalee, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it is Nidalee, but that's the price that CLG paid for first picking Echo instead.
Also, there's been, an interesting transition for Smithy throughout the year as he started to focus a lot more on hard farming in the jungle and counter jungling his opponents. Taken away from a lot of observation of the LCK, where the junglers farm prolifically.
Yeah, I mean, even during the regular season, I think the 2 best junglers at counter jungling were actually Rainover and Xmithy, because what their strategy was is anytime the enemy would try and gank them, you just go and take their jungle to counter the ganks. And
which sounds very easy.
It sounds very simple, but it's really hard to know when to go in, know when you're not going to get counter ganked, have the right wards up so you know when the gank is coming. But so far, Svenskeren has just been farming so hard. Like, where's Xmithy actually going to counter jungle right now? Everything is down, and he's clearing the wards away as well.
Yeah, Sven's even taking away the Raptors himself from Smithy, so it's getting a bit more bleak here for the CLG jungler as Yellow Star battle with Darshan for ward superiority. And even Delve comes up, so yeah, even Trinket Ward goes down. TSM controlling his bot jungle, and yet another camp stolen away from Smithy, who now has to walk topside without much to take.
Yeah, it looks like CLG is going to try and transition into a 1-3-1 though, with Echo and Poppy in the side lanes and put Stixxay and Morgana in the mid lane. The question will be whether or not TSM can match both of those Poppy and Echoes in the side lanes, because I don't really think that the Caitlyn Morgana is there to actually take the turret. I think Bjergsen can hold that off pretty easily by himself.
Yeah, very curious here. Actually, CLG are collapsing into the red side jungle. They've got one pink ward set up, trying to lay down the rest of the vision control and take away this red from Svenskeren.
Yeah, it's a 2-level advantage for Svenskeren, so this is a dicey proposition.
Advantage for Sven, plus execute.
Ooh, got it!
Smithy gets it anyway, very nice.
Really good start.
Will there be a
for
counter,
sure.
though? They're trapped in that red buff while TSM is actually pushing the mid lane.
Red
with
buff
2.
for mid turret is not the best, but they've got some time.
They're going to get a lot of damage on it. It's going to go at least below half HP. Morgana close to being in range. Yellowstar can still stay around. Of course, Fate's Call can always keep him safe. So Yellowstar able to play aggro. Bjergsen coming in. Yet there's the Dark Binding, and they will choose to save Fate's Call, but Yellowstar getting really low because of that.
Yeah.
Saving the cooldown means Yellowstar's got a recall.
Fate's Call is huge for TSM right now because Double Lift and Yellowstar are basically the team fight control for TSM right now. Svenskeren and Bjergsen are the Pokemon.
Dangerous!
Oh my goodness! That's an AP Echo, remember. That is not your normal top lane Echo building
Abyssal Scepter, and Hanser was laning against the Poppy, so it's a completely different damage type that he has to swap into now. That's not the situation TSM wants to be in.
And that's such a good thing for CLG, running double teleport. Those champions are basically interchangeable, and how good it is that they have 2 different damage types, getting to abuse the itemization.
And I really like how CLG are playing to the situation that they find themselves in this game because of that first blood. They want to keep this game spread out here and contest these smaller objectives and force these small fights so that TSM don't group up and use this, Callista while she's on her Hurricane, Trinity Force, Corki ready to go, keep them spread out.
Absolutely agree. CLG
It is a dangerous
simply
game,
runs faster. Yeah. The early Swifties, I mean, all the things we're seeing, all the gameplay we're seeing from CLG, from item choices to lane assignments, speaks to them playing a more spread out style. That's kind of always been one of CLG's trademarks, was their ability to macro play. They didn't pick up all the individual stars who were the best in their role and the best in their continent, but it's been their teamwork that's got them this far.
And their specialty has been pressure in all 3 lanes, also known as the 1-3-1. But when TSM has been making this resurgence, it's been with Hanser on a tank and team fighting, quite honestly. So it's going to be an interesting stylistic matchup, especially in this game when CLG is looking more for the 1-3-1 and TSM is looking for the team fights. When they are the stronger team fight team, though, and they don't have enough pressure in the side lanes on CLG's side, it was an easy dragon take for TSM.
Yeah.
Cole has finally paid off now for Stixxay, so that gold lead has shrunk quite a bit now as CLG are fast approaching their own important power spikes. We already know that who he had as Abyssal Scepter, but now he's going towards the Morella Namicon, it looks like. And Stixxay isn't too terribly far away from that Hurricane coming through. Hurricane plus 70 AD from items is honestly pretty good for Caitlyn, and 5-on-5s will look good for Stixxay once that item comes through.
Yeah, the 5-on-5, with the Aphromoo on the Morgana rounding it out, looks so much better, because usually when you see the Kindred versus Gragas matchup, it's this 50-50 game where is Gragas going to have to use his ultimate to engage or something like that, or is he going to be able to save it to knock people out of Kindred ultimate? Even if he saves it, Aphromoo can black shield whoever's low on the Kindred ultimate, and they get to stay in it, even if the barrel does come down.
Now, speaking of Kindred, Smithy, as he kills down that Rift Scud on the bottom side, is 11 stacks on Devourer, so still plenty of room to grow. Does have 3 Kindred marks, though. The various counter junglings allowed him to grab those 3 easy marks now, and now it's going to be into the deeper camps and champion kills to get any higher than this, but Smithy will look to keep playing aggressively around the map. Stack number 12 on Devourer from the Gromp, who he's still battling with Hanser, who again has an itemization lead, until finally the Spectre's Cowl has come through for him. Nice binding on a Svenskeren, but no follow-up available.
Yeah, because CLG are doing such a good job of swapping lanes around and contesting these small objectives and forcing these tiny fights with TSM to try and pull them around the map. Hanser has had to split his itemization. He was building straight for that Sunfire, but stopped halfway through, had to get that Cowl to be able to answer the flat magic reduction here from Huhi and his early Abyssal Scepter. So even though TSM still have this early gold lead, CLG have played around it very well.
And it's good for CLG that they haven't rely on Amakan at all, because keep in mind, there are several self-healers on TSM. You've got Doublelift, who's going to go double lifesteal by the end of it all. You've got Bjergsen, who will probably get some at some point, and Svenskeren and Hanser, who definitely will, just via their kits. So a nice, I don't want to say happy accident. I think part of the reason that CLG are running this build is because of this, but it's certainly very nice to have.
You kind of wanted to say happy accident.
Yeah, I mean, it partially is, right? I think you would have gone this build anyway, but it's certainly more effective here.
Merlin Amakan's great item for the Echo.
Yeah, almost regardless.
And yeah, this is still anyone's game. So much of it will come down to the way the team fights are started. Like, it's not like CLG has a terrible team fighting composition by any means, but the way in which they force the team fights will be set up.
Oh, and crucial poke lands
That's
here.
Huge.
Plus they have the
going in for it though. Oh,
Afro gets deleted. Yellowstar in the front line, but he's still okay. Fate's call is up. Teleport coming in for Hanser. Jumps forward, gets knocked right back out. Darshan says nope. But it's still a 1-for-0 and the mid tower being gone.
Even though he's ejected, the damage has been done. Bjergsen dumps off a huge amount of damage before packaging away, and they finish off Aframu so quickly there.
Yeah, he's a little baby level 6 Morgana, right? He's going to get blown up, and the turret had already died.
This is the poke component of the TSM comp we're talking about. The Corki and Nidalee both landed skill shots onto Stixxay. That is the perfect happy little accident there, Freak, you were looking for. No accident, though, from TSM, as both of those guys landing their skill shots onto the primary targets. CLG trying to push back here, though. Caitlyn looking to siege up.
Afro revived, but the minion wave is gone, so how much damage can they really deal? It's actually not very much, maybe 100 damage overall here. Rapid fire cannon, actually the first item for Stixxay, so it's interesting. We mostly
get the headshots easy.
Sure, like we actually mostly see Hurricane first from Caitlyn. In terms of plurality, it's the more common first item. It's a team fight item. Rapid fire cannon is specifically a turret killing one. CLG continuing to double up on their want to hit turrets, not champions.
They want to chip the mid lane turret while they have pressure in the side lanes and never get caught in a full-on team fight. But I don't know if they can actually create the never get caught in a full-on team fight version of this, with Flash being up on Hanser and also having the doubled up initiation of Doublelift throwing a Braum into the team.
Yeah, and I really like that we've incorporated two of the more exciting tanks from the top lane. Poppy and Gragas take a lot of skill to land their initiation or their disengage tools. So Darshan and Hans are going to be hard-pressed to land their skill shots.
Trying to say Maokai's easy,
well.
Kobe?
Yes.
It's a targeted route. That's a yes.
Very easy.
They're chipping away at that turret pretty well, though.
Yeah, got some decent damage down to this one. Both teams have claimed one dragon themselves, to keep in mind this. Dragon number 2 for either team is up in 1 minute. And if CLG gets that means turret chipping gets a lot better, where that single auto attack puts on the 10 times current level damage burn, which is a pretty big deal when you attack twice with level 10 Caitlyn.
TSM doing a good job of slowly growing that gold lead. But it's just the outer turrets.
Yeah.
And CLG did get that early dragon, remember, so they're not really hard-pressed on neutral objective control either.
Yeah, but TSM have still done a good job of team fighting. They got the gank in from Doublelift Yellowstar to the mid lane, and then again the mid lane siege, so you gotta feel good about this bot lane of TSM.
Yep.
100% KP, plenty of kills.
CLG not too perturbed. This standing gold in this outer turret looking very juicy for them. My question is always, you know, as a team with an outer turret. Ooh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's two people, though,
Built
so if
this.
Darshan tried to fight Doublelift and Yellowstar, he would lose.
But
if they can collapse on him with more, I don't feel like
Did he
CLG's
show?
far
I think
enough
he
ahead of this
showed.
play. Yeah,
He showed.
He's got it
So
right.
now Darshan does dodge the slow from Yellowstar and outwalks away the TSM support. Bot lane will be under control yet again. TSM still sitting on this 2,500 gold lead, and with Dragon F, we'll see what the next move is.
Yeah, CLG remaining focused in the face of the gold lead. They've put so much practice into 1-3-1 that they're going to continue pressuring top turret right now, give up this dragon to TSM. Number 2 doesn't mean a whole lot to them. They will claim that global gold in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, Hanser with the Spectre's Cal and Kindle Gem, though.
Oh, they won't.
Looking mighty
TSM
tough.
quick rotation up, and they defend it, even though it only has double-digit health, I believe.
The more these plays happen, the more likely TSM is to win the game. CLG is trying to go for trades, but they are not getting their side of the trade. So they're just giving stuff away, and TSM's been able to stop it time and again. They get the dragon, they stop the mid lane push, and they can also retreat to get deep wards within CLG's jungle. So a lot of good things happening for TSM, 21.5 minutes in.
Feeling good for TSM to get revenge from last split's championship, where CLG
T2's
3-0'd
away.
them.
Wow, in vision as well. The pings come down from TSM. I believe Hanser told the rest of the team they know this cooldown on Echo's teleport now. That's a very big tool for CLG that they're counting on for the mid game.
Turret HP in that mid lane is 150, so a stiff breeze would knock that one down. Or a rapid fire cannon auto attack from Stixxay. But if you can ever get in range,
yeah,
that's the requirement.
And by the way, that teleport burned because of how risky it is to run these 1-3-1s, and sometimes you have to play overly cautious. They lost vision of TSM members who he thought, you know, maybe the rest of the team thought, and they made the call that TSM were collapsing on him, and it wasn't safe to do a regular recall, so they burned the teleport for it. Better safe than sorry is sort of the reason there from CLG, but TSM very happy to get that mid lane teleport down.
Exactly, and it's because TSM just has more pressure on the map. The fact that that was the top side of the map that TSM still had control of after taking a dragon speaks to how far behind CLG is or how scared they have to be right now due to TSM's control.
I mean, if you toggle the vision right now, you can take a look at the Fog of War and you'll get a feel for how scary it is. To run 1-3-1 when TSM have this much vision control on the map, this many wards out, and CLG are really lacking. They have 2 scrying orbs though. Stixxay is coming back up pretty soon as well.
Yeah, but this map is
difficult for them.
This mini-map has chickenpox. There's so many red dots all over it, and CLG realistically sees so very little. You speak to the difficulty, and it is going to be very hard. TSM have done an amazing job of playing the vision control game, despite the fact that they're not running a second sight stone. Of course, neither is CLG, but that's mostly pink ward control then.
Yeah.
You can see even defensive traps having to come down from Stixxay to cover up the left-hand side flank. They know there's no vision there. And that's how they defend themselves, is some Caitlyn traps.
One of CLG's hopes is going to be Caitlyn. He's managed to complete the cull, get the bonus gold. He's finished his Infinity Edge, so he's working towards the 3rd and 4th item. I think if he gets to a full build Caitlyn, then they might be able to pull off some team fights if Stixxay is able to play very safe.
Yeah. You can also see how TSM are trying to abuse this small window that they do have the package on Bjergsen because it provides so much team fight power. They press up, they pressed up in all lanes though when they had it. You see Bjergsen right at the very edge of the turret. Yellowstar here actually gonna have to make the call there for Double F to pop the Fate's call, and there goes a pretty big tool for their team fight.
It is definitely a long cooldown. Shouldn't be too bad for TSM though, with Dragon not on the field for over 2 minutes, and they are not really an easy objective for either side.
Oh,
it shouldn't be the worst consideration.
Tank bite.
Hanser and Darshan doing battle. Waits out, steadfast presence, goes right back in as they continue to fight each other.
Yeah, in this small matchup, like if you have some distance between Gragas as Poppy, I think you wait for the body slam to start, because body slam is actually one of the slower moving dashes, and you can reactionary pop that W as soon as Gragas starts moving, and you'll get the interrupt pretty much every time.
Yeah, I agree.
It is definitely harder on live when you have more ping, but for these guys,
they got it.
Afford to do it reactionary. There it is.
Finally knocked it down. Woo! Right, with the turret score equalized, the game is back to an 1,800 gold difference. About 1,000 of that is TSM getting kills from the 2-0 start to this game, but the rest of it is actually a farm lead.
Yeah, and it really is all about the completed items as well. You know, you could talk about a few extra gold here and there for whichever team, but everybody really sitting on 2 powerful items here for TSM, and even an extra needlessly large rod for Sven Skaren on the Nidalee. And see if they look to move in and pressure. They might just wait again till the next package window for TSM, as they've been taking it fairly cautiously so far.
Well, it looks like the next play might be for Dragon, though. That's up in 1 minute 15 seconds. That would be their 3rd, which would be quite nice. TSM getting the rotational advantage. A knock into the wall, not going to be much against Darshan. Doublelift was around to follow up on the damage, and he will get some attacks on this turret here. Yeah, TSM are first to the show.
All
here. Down here.
Oh, Yellowstar tanking turret there.
No
problem.
Survive. Yeah, Nidalee. He's going to be just fine on this one. Dragon now 55 seconds away as the Corki continues to push in the mid lane. 272 minions on Bjergsen, a pretty high clip for him.
Yeah, and the way CLG is playing this is they're going to force TSM to make an aggressive move. They're going to force a dive because they're almost never grouping as 5 versus 5. There was 4 people down there for CLG to defend, and Hui was top lane on Echo on teleport. Either TSM pushes really hard on here, or it's going to be a double TP in the back from CLG. Never mind.
Here comes the flank. Yellowstar is low and no Fate's call comes out. The support's gone. Here's the team fight. Oh, it's going to be the next one. Doublelift is gone. The ulti back in. That was beautiful from Hui. A 3 for 0. CLG's got control. They're looking for Bjergsen. The flash stun comes in from Darshan. The follow-up's there. That's 4 in a row. What a team
goodness, the execution on CLG's double teleports, once again, so ridiculously effective. They wait and bide their time until TSM grouped up in the mid lane, and such easy access to the backline for Huhi and Darshan, both of them playing that fight so well.
And I think they're getting this Baron. They lulled TSM into a false sense of security there. How many times did they set up a siege in a lane and not been punished with CLG just pushing off? And TSM's thinking, maybe we can get it this time, but no. The immediate double TP, the perfect flank, and I can't wait to see that one again.
You and me both. CLG with the double home guard teleports here. And Baron is going to be a big, big deal. All right, so Hanser does have
home
teleport.
guard and the other one from the lane, but it's on exactly the same ward. And the binding at the start on Yellow Star makes this a disaster for TSM.
And it was a pink ward, so TSM had no idea. Hanser never gets to be a part of this. Look at Huhi. He takes out double lift, then immediately Svenskeren dodges the rocket as well. And Darshan goes in to finish off Bjergsen here with the flash stun onto the edge of the wall there. Those guys just wrecked the entire team.
Yeah, and a lot of the times the mark of a good team is how much they make their kills count. CLG gets their first 4 kills of the game, and that means they get Baron as well as Dragon and take themselves from about a 3K deficit straight to even.
And look at the setup for that play as well. CLG, we'd been talking about how hard of a time they'd been getting vision out on the map. Before that, they had set up 3 pink wards. So the 3 pink wards deep in mid lane, they could choose any one of those to go on. Even if TSM found one, there are 2 more Easter eggs left. And CLG, they know that TSM don't have vision of these pink wards, obviously the true sight there, so that double teleport is going to be a huge surprise. It's home guard boosted now that they've waited so long into the game, and Hanser never got to join.
Well, TSM lined up like pigs to the slaughter. The double TP from CLG worked so well, and now they're looking to continue the siege. Hurricane got completed because of that team fight. Stixxay, yeah, rapid fire cannon and Dragon number 2 is gonna really like attacking these turrets now.
That 0 there at the top says it all.
Big goose egg.
It's all, and it was all team coordination. It wasn't really Hanser's fault. It was a team issue.
Which is crazy that CLG was able to set up that play because of how they had no map control 5 minutes prior to that fight, but they got the nice pink ward down, and now they're working on pushing an inhibitor turret. Meanwhile, Bjergsen's not actually here right now.
They've got a TP coming in. Now this is going to be the play. This is hoping for TSM to do exactly what CLG did to them. Yellow taking damage to the front line. In comes Hanser. Double gets off Huhi, and here comes the rest of the fight. Kinder keeps him alive for a little while longer, but it's a double for double. Now Stixxay gets one. Xmithie that wanted the shots, and it's a whole bunch of kills. TSM have gotten 4 already. Darshan is the last one alive, but he has nowhere to go. Stunned up once again. Can't find the target, and an ace for TSM firing back.
Revenge for TSM! Hanser with an epic flank right there. And the Gragas ultimate does find the people sitting on Kindred.
And Bjergsen had his package up here, so even though he was just in the mid lane, he can fly into the fight as Hanser's flanking. Huhi's caught on the backside. Hanser gets in, and then the fight gets cut in half by Bjergsen's package.
Bjergsen and Yellow Star. Yellow Star starting that off with the Braum ultimate right down the middle of CLG. Great back-to-back team fight execution here from both teams.
And that was a whole lot of double lift on.
I love this rivalry freak.
Oh,
Sometimes you're up, the other times you're down. 4 for 0 into a 5 for 1. We are dead even here.
Oh, goodness.
Yet again, the smallest of leads now, TSM 1400. The next item in for double lift is not far away now as he moves with QSS in towards probably a Bloodthirster then. And you got to see how these builds continue. Zhonya's not far away for Svenskeren. You guys talked about the completed item spikes coming through. We have 70% crit chance on the Corki of Bjergsen as well, so you cannot fail to respect him. Finally, a Zhonya's for Huhi. He might finally survive these team fights. And you can see, yeah, this was the double lift show. 4,700 for him, and Hanser,
huge
infinitely
work.
better than last fight.
He also was the one to get right onto Stixxay.
It's not like Stixxay and Xmithie weren't able to pump out some damage in that fight, but it was the final killing blows that all fell to TSM because of the flank position there.
But you're seeing it's not how fed the members are, it's how the positioning is. Right? Last fight, Hanser couldn't even show up. This fight, Huhi did 700 damage, didn't get to do anything useful.
Yeah.
Like, that's the comparison here. If you're alive, you can do plenty of damage, but these guys are getting one shot. Or failing to arrive.
Huhi now has a Zhonya's on Echo as well.
Yep.
Opens up some more interesting plays with him because of the ultimate as well. You can set up and be in position for your ultimate to actually deal damage on top of you if everybody tries to group up and forgets somehow that that's what Echo does.
Echo can do this.
Like, oh yeah, let's crowd around, get that last hit on him.
Or you get really good flank position, you find a chaotic fight. Oh, Darshan
a really good hard against Darshan. Burns the flash. He's going to look for the ulti, but only knocks Doublelift into the air. Here comes Echo. They try to turn it around.
Oh, the
Darshan doesn't die around until the end, but now the turnaround comes. Goes the Echo ultimate, and he's still going to chase for more. Smithy gets a kill picked up. Now Yellowstar left alone, and he's going to turn into a black hole of death, and CLG wins it 3-for-1.
Doublelift, I think he QSS something from Darshan early, and then he was on the very edge of who he stunned. Get taken down. CLG now the ones to take out the team fight and take the turret.
So many plays off of their teleports right now. It looked like a sure thing for Darshan to die there, but Huhi comes in with a teleport into a chain of stuns. And yeah, Doublelift thought he'd just drain tank that with his Bloodthirster, QSS, and Blade of the Ruin King, but the stun catches him and 3 people still dead. I think CLG is going to go through for an inhibitor here.
Gonna get a hell of a lot done right there. Turret goes down. The respawn's coming in the next 10 seconds right now, but it's not gonna be in time before the inhibitor itself dies.
Be kind of careful.
And actually, no, CLG will back off. Enough threat was there that with the home guard boost turning on, CLG have to run away and recall in time before Dragon and Baron.
Yeah, and that's huge. That the inhibitor still stands for TSM is great for them. All right, let's take a look at what Doublelift QSS is here actually, because he gets knocked up with the ults, knocked back.
He just QSS'd early.
It was, yeah, I think it was the slow from Time Rewinder, or Time, anyway, it was nothing, Time Rewinder.
I mean, by that point, CLG had arrived to the fight earlier than TSM anyway, so even if he did QSS, I still think he's going to fall, but he could have gotten some crucial damage out if he didn't get stunned.
And he has double life still, so yeah.
Yeah, he was very close to being able to just Callista all the way around that fight, but oh boy. That's what these games are decided on, split-second decisions. Split-second missed positions. Can you double teleport in?
With back-to-back team fights, being determined by the great teleports and setup from both teams, for it to come down to something micro like that in the bottom lane there is actually pretty big. CLG striking back, but still the gold lead marginal.
Sure, and the game's just entirely been about these individual plays. Is the flank good? Is the outplay good? Did you QSS the right ability? Now a Mercurial Scimitar done for Stixxay, so 4-item Caitlyn is certainly going to be online. Unless he gets one shot by a miraculous Gragas ultimate, Stixxay's going to be fine. And keep in mind, you can QSS Flash out of a knockback and go right back where you were before. So proper play by Stixxay, he's going to have uptime.
Caitlyn was definitely Stixxay's best performing champion in the semifinals, but in the other games, he was fairly questionable. And this is bold. It's blind,
double teleport's
they know what's happening.
Okay, CLG wants him, but TSM will get the Baron first, so now it's up to the team fight. Does CLG even want it? He has to ult to stay alive, but he's still getting chased down. A nice knockback on a 2. Javelin hits as well. Will we find more of an engage? Sonya's into the shield. He's alive for now. He's going to have to run away. Now Darshan to the backside only gets a simple knockup, and now has nowhere to go. But there's a re-engage. They look for Bjergsen. Can't quite get him, though. Binding his Doublelift, keeping him out of the fight for a little while.
He's got this.
Looking for the kill, and a Hanser gets it. That's a 1-for-1. Top laners both dead. 4v4 CLG are looking for the chase. Stixxay slowed down by a Luden's Echo Rylays thanks to his
They have got to be careful, but they're going for this.
Oh, it's Baron empowered recalls, though. But Scaren's out. That actually means numbers advantage for CLG.
No! Here comes the push forward. Half HP. QSS is ulti in for Smithy. And then look for Yellowstar. The damage for Stixxay. Can't quite get it. The heal comes out. Looking for the auto attacks. Can't find the damage, though.
You think when he teleports out
I'm laughing.
with the Baron empowered recall, it's like, oh my god, he abandoned his team, but he makes it back at the end.
Also, the home guard boost right out of the base. The healer has arrived just in time. Oh my goodness, and only the top players to go out. This time, TSM grabbed the Baron, blow for blow here.
And keep in mind, Stixxay burned Flash and Heal to try to reach to get into range for those killing blows. So he burned 2 summoners.
And Mercurial for the 1 second speed.
I mean, he burned every active he had and still didn't get any kills on the backside of that one.
Yeah, so because TSM got the jump on this, they were able to rent the Baron down, but then it's such a back and forth push and pull fight. Huhi wasn't able to ult backwards, but Darshan actually buys a tremendous amount of time on the backside, even though this seemed
and this is so rich
choice.
To pull out the team fight where you're split, your main tank is on the other side, and Darshan tries to make it all the way through from CLG's. Extremely risky there. They do get the 1 kill because Smithy has Gragas cornered on the outside, and Kindred will take down Gragas, even though he's a top lane Gragas. this late into the game. All the stacks there.
Smithy is really strong this game. Yeah. He's doing a whole bunch of damage in all these fights. 14,400 gold, which is 2,000 more than Sven Skaren.
It's a really big deal. Yeah, Smithy, Hurricane, right, and the standard Sterix mob build is going to be a lot of damage for
challenging
him. Yeah, sure. Well, challenging leads for both these guys, but yeah, also the Rileys and the Zonias. It's pseudo-tanky, but very damage focused for both these junglers.
Okay, so after that explosive team fight, remember both top laners burned their teleports, but CLG still have, okay, just
got to escape. He pushed too far.
Yep. That's the second time Hui's had to do this, though, and again.
So they burned the teleport just to get that minion wave into the top side turret. TSM, though, actually just farming, so not a whole lot gained there with that extra teleport.
TSM unable to do anything with the Baron buff is the crucial thing. They got Baron. It was a 1-for-1. You can see the actual Baron power play itself. CLG just swept a bunch of minion waves and kept the game close.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Hui's damage takes off now with the Lich Bane, so that'll be very interesting in the next fights. We just need to figure out kind of where the next breaking point is going to be, because the Dragons are very close, the Gold is very close, and the fights have actually been very close.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Hui himself, just with the pressure.
He's going to have pressure on the back line of TSM, so Doublelift is going to have to be very careful about where he throws Yellowstar in these team fights, because if he gets rid of his peel, Echo and Poppy can very easily just execute it.
And TSM have to respect Hui's split push. The Lich Bane that he talked about on Echo, he can quickly take down one of these exposed inhibitors.
For now, they're respecting him with the 2-versus-1, but Darshan's over in the wings. Damage onto Hui, staying alive for now, but here comes the cavalry. A nice knockback gets rid of the Callista. They still look for the damage. Svenskar forced to jump away with his flash, and the rest of the team is now on rid. It's a 5-versus-4.
Here, though.
Bjergsen 5-on-5. Svenskar. Here's the knock-in, but he doesn't find anyone to go for. Hanser now to the backside. Zonia's popped by the Nidalee. Here's the re-engage. Hui gets it. That's 1-for-0. The son of a yellow star. He's going down, and Braum will fall. It's a 2-for-1, though. Kidderulti does not save anybody of note. Hui has already dropped, but it's a 3rd kill picked up for Darshan. CLG winning another team fight.
And the inhibitors are exposed here. CLG still with the 280 carries up. They can get right in there. Doublelift and Bjergsen as well, gonna match them. It's Corki Callista.
Yeah, Stixxay still full health. Another teleport coming in at full health. 30 seconds on these death timers. Maybe CLG runs clean across the inside of the base to go for the second exposed inhibitor, or they go for the end.
This game is endable. Callista, Corki don't exactly have good frontline tools to survive these kinds of champions. Dark Binding lands, someone dies.
They're going for the 2 inhibs.
They are going for the inhibs, but there's still 20 seconds on most of the respawns here. Poke on Aframu, TSM playing it safely enough. CLG doing the same, actually. Not risking the game, just the double inhib and the safe recall.
Ooh, boy. That fight, though.
That provides so much pressure for CLG. All right, let's take another look at how that one started out as Aframu flash binding, full range lands onto Sven.
Hanser missed his body slam flash there that was going to be an initiation attempt on Afra or Stixxay. The black shield was there, but that was fight changing the fact that he couldn't make it in. Then he ults backwards and doesn't have really much effect. So Hanser unable to land those crucial, hard to execute plays on Gragas. And who we mentioned having that assassination potential, does get that towards the end. That was so critical that Gragas was unable to get his body slam flash in.
Definitely massive.
Oh my God.
Speaking of critical, his health is dangerously low. Thunderlord's triggered by Bjergsen, gets the damage across. Now the ulti will get the knockup on a CLG support, but there's no follow-up. So Yellowstar ulted for nothing, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, well, they already have 2 inhibitors down, so they're trying to hide in the fog of war, get a quick pick or damage, and then run back to defend. They also have Hanser clearing 1 wave of super minions. So TSM's, they're really in a bind right here because they have essentially 2 waves of super minions that they have to deal with when a team is already splitting them up the way CLG has.
CLG now have so many tools to use with the 2 inhibitors down and Baron popping up in 55 seconds. Scuttle Crab was taken, but it will time out. CLG can just wait it out right when Baron spawns. They have a lot of wards to clear out, though. TSM have been able to place that at least. A lot of minion duty for TSM to take care of first, though.
And if a minion wave ever gets close to that ward on the inhibitor in TSM's base, expect CLG to be looking for a teleport to end the game with. Like, they're very willing.
It is Darshan.
I mean, you have TP up right now on Blue Elixir, Lich Bane, Hui. Like, good luck.
The ward just died.
Aww.
That's sad.
What if the minions show up?
Then they can just do that,
Yeah. All right, we'll see if they can find any more plays here in this one. Black Shield and Stixxay, plenty of range on him, binding on a Yellow Star, but no follow-up damage available just yet. But a Black Shield Rapid Fire Cannon Caitlyn. There's not a lot of counterplay to that siege.
Yeah, the trap spam here from Caitlyn and CLG is going to be huge. Doublelift is on top lane duty right now, trying to clear out these super minions that have stacked up.
Well, Hurricane user one of the best to do this, so Doublelift's going to get plenty of gold. He's already level 18, it looks like, but still, the stats are nice to have. And as the gold floods in, Doublelift will turn into a very scary threat.
So GG's try and bait here. They just need to keep TSM out on the map and give time for the minions to do work.
The thing is, if it's a clean 5v5 and they don't have any flanks or threats around the backside,
that minion wave bottom, look at that thing crashing into TSM Nexus
really
turrets.
big. Yeah, and this is where CLG wants to move up a little bit aggressively because those minions are going to
want to hold them there.
A turret.
There we go, bottom next turret under fire right now, taking plenty of damage, honestly, as the minion wave comes in. It might just kill it by itself. The banner minion from Afro certainly helping, and yes,
And
the
a banner
turret goes
minion.
down. So CLG baiting TSM long enough to get a Nexus turret. TSM, though, take that loss in order to contest for Baron because CLG have started it.
Good
Chaplain
spear.
onto Stixay. CLG still waiting around, and actually, Hanser is inside the base. They're trying to force his teleport to come out. As
Baron
Baron
have to make a
loses 4
choice.
HP, here is the TP, and immediately, on cue,
Great
Analogic Gaming
disengage.
runs away.
They need the pop.
Oh, they can re-engage! Looking for the play, the big knock of an F goes Braum. Here comes the battle. Hui forced ults away. Zonya's on from Svenskeren. Stixay is low, getting hit up by Callista. In goes Yellow Star. Kidder ulti on the back line. CLG staying alive. Now they're re-engaged. Yellow Star can't stay alive. Zonya's popped by Hui. Looking for the kill, can't find it yet. Now into Hanser. A kill into Hui. TSM tried, but they can't get it. It's a 2-for-1. Meanwhile, minions are inside the base. Both teleports are up as well. And CLG have to make a choice. Bjergsen goes into the back line. It's a 2 versus 3 in favor of TSM.
Bjergsen's gonna
And
kill
now
everyone. Oh my God.
is gonna drop as well. TSM looking for the final couple of kills.
But can they even
what a dodge.
Bjergsen's the DPS and they have a support back. The minions
He's gotta run! He's gotta run! And it's not gonna be enough! The Winions live up to their name! Afro making the game-winning push thanks to the banner, thanks to the delay. Good game, CLG.
And that was just the first game of this series.
What a final here in North America. Game 1 came down to the CLG macro decision-making.
CLG talked about focusing on teamwork. It was all about the teamwork, even minions included for Counter Logic Gaming. Nobody's left out.
It's
on
not
their
just
side.
your 1v1 play. You got to play the map, and that's what better analogy than to have minions kill the Nexus after you lose a team fight, because you know if they commit to the team fight, the minions will do it for you.
Not fair. CLG have 75 people on their team. all these blue minions as well as the 5.
Oh my God.
But that was perfect. Afro getting a late banner of command, sending it into the bottom lane and saying, guys, just be jerks. Siege mid, look at Baron. Siege mid, look at Baron. Make them react to us. Make Hanser TP out of the base. Then take any fight. Any fight at all, and we'll get meaningful damage because of the minion waves. Losing the fight didn't even matter for CLG. It was a great play.
Especially in the early game, when CLG were down in map control, when they were down in global gold, and Doublelift and TSM were trying to play around this Callista that had so much teamfight control, and they couldn't really abuse it.
Yes.
CLG just played defensively very well as well.
Absolutely, like a super back and forth game that's going to make me really interested to see how they adapt in the next one, because was it the team compositions? Was it the decision making, right? Like, it was so close, and there were mistakes by both teams in fairly crucial moments, but also big plays by both teams in fairly crucial moments. So I don't think this was a case of these guys having like stage jitters or anything.
Oh no.
All of them were like really going for it this game, and it makes me really excited for the rest of the series.
Totally agree. Every player playing at least 90% capacity right now. Stage jitters not seeming to mean very much. TSM making a lot of great plays. The Doublelift Yellow Star synergy was on point. Those first 2 kills, both those guys had a hand in them. They had the major hand in the early TSM lead. But CLG with a great comeback team fight, the first 4 kills of theirs, as well as the late game play. And in fact, we want to show you guys that last team fight because it's just really incredible. And CLG make the bait.
Right. The thing is, if TSM could win this a little bit earlier,
That's the double
they
kill
win
there.
the game, right? Bjergsen, he needed to kill the Echo because Echo could recall Home Guard and Power Teleport into the base and end it just clean. But here, instead of kind of fading back to the side, he goes for the kill. But Darshan just stays alive for so long.
That auto on the ward, that ward from TSM actually gives the shield to Darshan to delay Bjergsen long enough that Bjergsen can't get back and help out with the minions. Actually, it probably wouldn't have mattered. The recall timing there from Bjergsen Probably would have been able to get there in time, but Darshan wastes as much time as he can, you know, just trying to delay Bjergsen, make sure he doesn't get back there. And Yellow Star and this tank Gragas are left trying to fend off all the super minions.
Little slaps on the giant 1,000 health.
Right.
Brahm's like, no,
get in range of me so I can use my relic shield stacks. I need the execute, like all those tools.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's CLG using the exact window of we took double inhibitors. Like those are going to respawn very soon. Those were like some of the last waves available to CLG with that kind of advantage. And they used the entire timer, the last like 2 waves to knock the Nexus down.
The fun thing about League of Legends is obviously killing the other team.
Yes.
But at the end of the day,
it's about the
it's about the minions and the Nexus.
They did it.
They did it, and they did it magically. CLG with a well-earned game 1, and for now we're going to toss it down to the analysts to break that game down further.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And what a game 1. What a way to start a series back and forth, taking it all the way to the end and then winning off of a minion push and a great fight from both teams. And we saw one fight from both teams. Irene, jump right in.
I definitely want to talk about that last push because that was something that was orchestrated many minutes in advance because Afromu took his banner and walked all the way down to the bottom lane when they were sieging middle, and he set that up very early on because Hanser, he knew that he was going to have to answer them at the top side of the map. So Afromu was on top of that with the macro play.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's now go all the way back to the beginning. Let's get to this final push through starting in picks and bans. We saw Afro-focused bans coming out of TSM. We saw Bjergsen-focused bans coming out of CLG, and that Echo first pick. We had talked about what is Echo going to mean in this series, and CLG coming out and showing us in game 1, they're willing to flex it between mid and top lane.
I think it was brilliant, honestly. I think that they take 2 of like the big kind of playmaking top laners. They have the ability to flex it around. We knew it was going to be big for Darshan, and now we've seen it's going to be big for Huhi as well. I love that pick. We talked about how high priority it should be in this series, and I was surprised that TSM did not try to ban it out or take it away themselves, and that's something they're probably going to have to try to do throughout the rest of the series now that they've shown that flexibility.
And not only do they show the flexibility, but Scar, we saw a different build. Since in the top lane, we normally see the tanky Echo, Huhi opting for that AP Echo. It's just another layer of mind games that they're throwing to TSM of like, you're not only going to have to know how to play around an AP Echo, but also a tank Echo if we throw it to the top lane.
I think they were worried they didn't have enough AP damage to deal with the comp, because if you saw their comp, it had a lot of damage sources, but not that much AP damage. So they were probably thinking, we probably need the AP. It'll be a little bit higher risk, but the reward will be huge if he can either land the ulti or get to the back line. I think it was pretty good by itself, and I think that Echo was a really, really big problem for them. Not only, I originally said that it was Darshan's, and one of Darshan's best champions, fits him super well, but Huhi also plays a lot of Echo mid, and they've shown the flex capability of the champion. I think they should consider banning it, because it seems like their support bans have no real actions.
It's something they might be discussing now as we see TSM on your screens. Echo is going to be a pick they're going to have to worry about. Of course, the teams will be swapping sides, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss what we think they should do in game 2. So, Irina, I want to come back to you. Given what we saw in picks and bans, we saw the Morgana come out for Afromu. Talk me through the idealistic play of these 2 compositions and how we should have seen them play out through the game.
Well, there's a lot of actually very interesting things that CLG can do with this composition. You can pick people off, but also your team fight is incredibly strong. Morgana ulti, you can also put down the Xmithie ulti with the Kindred, and Xmithie ulti with the Kindred and then Huhi's ulti with the Echo, you actually allow enough time for the Echo Chrono Shift, or Chrono Break to actually catch up, and you can ulti people inside of there. But the ideal way to play it is you just put the black shield on Caitlyn. Caitlyn runs into the front line, Stixxay gets to do whatever he wants, and he gets to blow them up because their magic damage is Bjergsen, and if Bjergsen isn't going to be able to actually deal enough damage to break it, then you don't have Hanser's barrel to actually knock Caitlyn into the fight, and Caitlyn just has range superiority over everybody on the TSM side.
So at the end of the day, a very solid team fighting composition for CLG. Azale, I'm going to have you walk us through our replay 24 minutes into the game. A 4-0 for CLG. This is where they kind of broke open the game. Yeah. We saw a TP, and this team really displaying their team fighting prowess against TSM.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about high risk, high reward of the AP Echo. This is it coming up big. Yellow Star gets caught out a little bit too far there, and the big TP flank did come down from Darshan. This is where Huhi is now in the back lane. He's being so disruptive in his ultimate, but he goes back over the wall, actually catches Svenskeren, allowing him to finish him off with the phase dive right afterwards. They're able to chase down Bjergsen for another kill, I do believe, off that flash stun there from Darshan. But really, it was the TP flanks coming in. They did such a good job moving around the map, and Huhi just put this added layer of pressure. And I think that some of the players didn't look too comfortable playing around Echo's shadow, because when you think about tank Echo, it's not something you actually have to care about. It's used more as just a repositioning tool or kind of like a little bit of a heal. And people don't really care so much about the damage from that. But a full AP Echo, if you're a squishy and you get caught by that ultimate, it's all over.
Oh yeah, because all the AP ratios have been buffed to try and push him away from being a tank. But that showed once again that the double TP is not a fluke. It's something that's very practiced by CLG. They end up having Darshan come through first, and then less than a half second later, Huhi comes through. So Darshan is actually channeling his TP, and then he tells Huhi to do his. And this is something that Darshan has gotten so good at. His flanks have been incredible. I've actually heard stories about how they will actually just use drills over and over and over again. They'll find a scrim partner and just be like, we're doing this over and over again. Let's set up at Baron. Let's go. Flank when it's right. And if they get it wrong, they just go set it up again. Let's do it again. And they keep doing it until he gets the timing down perfectly. And he's had that happen for many years now because he started practicing that back in like 2014.
Scara, final thoughts on game one?
I think rather than any of those two things, the bigger picture is the fact that TSM's mid game was really bad this game. They didn't have the correct answer. Maybe it was a little bit through comp because they lacked initiation against Morgana, but they didn't have a good answer against the split push. And with the lead they got early, Svenskeren was 2 levels. They 4-buffed them on the second rotation. Like, TSM should have been able to set up vision to either get picks or to at least out-rotate CLG. And CLG just split pushed them and nulled out the mid game so that they were able to eventually just win with Morgana.
Well, if this first game is any indication of the series we're going to have, it's going to be a good one. CLG have taken a lead in this best of 5, so stay tuned to see if they can extend their lead or if TSM can tie up the series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dennis, just always make sure I'm ahead. Thank you, Dennis. Really.
Dennis, you're such a team player.
Dennis, really, thank you.
Do you enjoy playing with me, Bjerk?
Dennis? I love playing with you, Dennis.
Phase dive actually got interrupted, knocked into the air. The shield's coming up, but he can't hit it in time. First blood comes through for double. It's great fate's call on a yellow star. I got this guy. Go. I can flash on him. Watch him. They're looking for Bjergsen, and the flash stun comes in from Darshan. The follow-up's there. That's 4 in a row. What a team fight, CLG. Darshan is the last one alive, but he has nowhere to go. Stunned up once again. Can't find the target. And an ace for TSM firing back.
Bjergsen's gonna kill everyone.
Is gonna drop as well. TSM looking for the final couple of kills.
But can they even
what a dodge.
Bjergsen's the DPS and they have a support back. The minions
He's got to run. And it's not gonna be enough. The Winions live up to their name.
Hey guys, Jat here with Teamfight Breakdown. In this series, I review one major teamfight that happened in the last week of Pro Play. Check out our latest episodes on YouTube and tweet #TFBD if you see a great teamfight you want us to break down. And this is where things get really crazy. Wild Turtle's Jin would have killed Hauntzer's Maokai here with an auto attack, except at the perfect time, Hauntzer goes untargetable with Twisted Advance, dodging the attack.